right. So happiness is a choice, not a result. Nothing will make you happy until you choose to be happy. No person will make you happy unless you decide to be happy. Your happiness will not come to you. It can only come from you. So with that said, we have our dear friend,
Yes.
marriage and family counselor Bhawna Luthra with us. Hi, Bhawna.
Hello.
We're always excited to see you.
Yes.
We always
I'm here
have
too.
so much to talk about, right?
Yes.
And the last time when we got together, it was about healthy relationships.
Yes.
And I think today you're basically going to touch on healthy marriages and how important that is, right?
Right. We will be focusing very much on to emotional intimacy as well as physical intimacy.
Yeah, can't wait. Let's go for it now.
Let's dive into it.
Dive into it.
Okay. So what do we look in relationship mostly? When we look for a partner, we want a partner who have fun with us.
Yes.
Right.
Who is our friend.
Right.
Right. Who can just lend their shoulder anytime we want. And then we want partner who has passion for us, physical attraction, as well as we have common goals. And we have a lot of time, we miss out a lot of things that we have core values.
Right.
Right? And sometimes core values can be coming from your same faith, right? Or same family background,
Right.
Same culture. So all those things play a bigger role when we are looking for a partner. We also look for deeper connection, right? And even though when you're young, 17, 18, you don't realize that it's there, but it is there. Because your core values are the foundation of your family life you have with your parents and siblings.
Right.
But that's what you look for your partner. I was just having a conversation with a few of my friends yesterday, and they said, it's very difficult to know what to look for a partner. And I said, yes, there is, from very young age, especially for boys, when they are looking for somebody, they're looking somebody like their mother. Right? It's very true. And the girls are looking for somebody like their father.
Yes.
Right? It's just how it is. It's just how we are trained and nurtured. So that's where the deep core values comes in when we're looking for a partner.
Right.
And that's where the intimacy is built. From all these fun, passion, friendships, core values. And then soon we started thinking about being a parent, and then we look for co-parenting skills. So that's also is intimacy. Intimacy is just not the physical component, the sex part of people saying, intimacy is just physical.
Right.
There's emotional intimacy. So that's what I want to focus on in our conversation today. And then I'll a little bit touch on the communication patterns, how we kind of go into the sliding down with the low intimacy or no intimacy.
Right.
I mean, you're not emotionally connected. You can never have the physical relationship.
Right.
The emotional, if you're not, especially for women, I hear in my field that they don't want to, I can say the word right now, is surrender themselves to a man if they're not emotionally intimate.
Right.
Right? It's just become, sorry to say that, raw sex, because sex is just two bodies coming together and having passion there. But that's physical satisfaction. But if there's no emotions, then there's no intimacy.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's pretty intense, right?
intense.
Yeah.
Very intense topic.
Yes.
And it takes in it's sometimes like an elephant in the room. Right?
Oh,
Right.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
I see that with couples that it's an elephant in the room. They're just going around and arguments and blaming and just making each other feel guilty, have so much resentment. But then when I say, what's the intimacy to you? And they look at each other, it's like, oh, I don't know. Just they have lost all the fun, the passion, the friendship, the deep core values. Everything is gone. It's just more into blaming That
Yeah.
blame game, we get into those patterns. And it's very subtle, it just creeps into our marriages sometimes. We don't
Right.
even notice it. And it comes through our parenting, how we parent, and we kind of blame each other. Oh, you didn't do that, you didn't do that. And it just kind of creeps in that way. Or sometimes when we bring our other family members in our life,
Right.
in-laws and siblings, and that can become an issue in our marriages. And that takes away the intimacy.
Right.
So these are the basic foundations of a marriage. Just when you stop having fun, when you stop having romance, the intimacy goes away.
Yeah.
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 So
I guess in all our lives, every other things become priority.
Right.
Right. So then we do not realize, and then intimacy becomes like something that we have to do. It's a chore.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, we just have to do it. I mean, it's just sometimes you just like have the urge and you just do that, but not with the love or thing that used to exist before, right?
Yes.
And I think that's what
So marriages
people go through.
Marriages become convenient.
Yes.
Accessibility. Like I have somebody. Oh, so convenient. It's good I have somebody. It's convenient. Oh, access. If I need to really talk to somebody, somebody is there. But is that person is totally available?
Right.
Right? That only happens if there's an intimate connection.
Yes.
And that's what we miss out. Some people think, oh, I feel lucky that I'm married. Some of people can't find somebody else. But if you have somebody, it doesn't mean that person is totally with you.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
That emotional connection is not there. You might have somebody waiting for you at home. But if they're not nurtured in the relationship, they're really not there for you.
Right. Right. It's true. And also, I think sometimes we tend to think if we get intimate, things will work out. If there is intimacy, will work all the problems that we have in the marriage, right? So it becomes like that. We think that that is the important tool, but we don't.
You're talking about physical intimacy.
Yes,
part.
yes. So because I don't know, I can't speak for men, but I think usually men thinks if you're not intimate with me, that means there's nothing left. Right. They don't think like, okay, like you said, there's emotional intimacy that we should work on. Yes. Right? And that is hard.
And it's not just the women need more, men need emotional intimacy too.
Right.
They have difficulty
expressing.
Yes. It's there, and they want to be heard.
Yes.
They want to be valued. So they want to be, their self-worth and self-esteem is also attached to the intimacy.
Right.
Emotional intimacy.
Right.
But it's just they're not good with maybe those words.
Right.
So it's a key for women is to get connected to the emotional part of a man, and it's a work.
Yeah.
That's what you were saying, that sometimes we think we bring in physical intimacy in our relationship, and since it's not censored, but I can say that, having 3-4 times sex in a week, that was going to spark up our marriage.
Right.
But that's very difficult for some of, with the little kids sometimes, having that time just for two of you.
Right.
So it's just... If we keep on working our emotional intimacy when we are having young kids, that physical part doesn't take as much value.
Yes.
Right? Men, please don't get insulted. I'm not encouraging women that way. But what I'm saying is that if we keep that connection going, and we can maybe devote that time for physical intimacy, but that way we don't damage the relationship.
Yes.
Yeah. Because when we miss out of those emotional connection, then it's just natural. It just happens that you feel disconnected physically also from each other.
So just explain to us, for even our listeners, when you say emotional connection, emotional intimacy, how can you elaborate on that? Or, how would you explain that?
So finding time for each other to talk,
Okay.
right? And for young parents, it's very hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just that doesn't mean it has to happen in person. When kids are taking naps with the little kids,
right,
or when kids are in school, and just saying, how's your day going? Right? And they say, good. Do you have a minute? Maybe not now, maybe next half an hour. Can we talk for 2 minutes, 5 minutes? Sure. So I'll call again to your spouse, partner, and how's your day going? And
Right.
kind of elaborate, like, I'm just feeling down today.
Yeah.
I really need to talk to you.
Right.
Telling your partner that vulnerability part of you that I'm having a down day. I'm missing you, right? It would be nice you were here with me right now. And that's like the other person feels that connection that, yes, I'm valued.
Yes.
I'm important. And I do care because
Right.
she cares or he
Yes.
cares. So letting that intimacy build with those words, right? And then you'll see that it's just magical. And it happens
Yeah.
from the other. Oh, I miss you too. Yeah, I wish I was there with you too.
Right.
Yeah.
And even if that person doesn't say that, but if that person is listening to you, value that.
Right.
It's just when we attach the same expectations, what we are doing, then that's when the intimacy goes down. It's very much a surrender experience. Intimacy build when it's not about me,
Right.
when I'm not selfish in the relationship.
Right.
If I'm giving in more, why the other person? Why do the other person has to contribute the same? No, it's not about give or take. It's
Okay.
about surrendering. I really want to emphasize a lot in today that's where we say surrender to God.
Yeah.
Right? It's so easy for us to say surrender to God. There was a movie say "Tujh mein Rab dikhta hai," right? That song. It's just true. We have to surrender. You're not surrendering to a person. You're
Yeah.
surrendering to your own emotions. If you, it's really deep that if we trying to understand a relationship,
Right.
it's not just about two people. It's when they say when you get married, it's two people, one soul, or how they
Right,
say that,
right.
right? It is true. We forget the vows we have taken. There will be one, right? And oneness comes from the marriage. So when you are surrendering into that relationship, people don't say that surrender means, oh God, come on, beat me up and do whatever. No, I'm not talking about that kind of surrender. I'm saying that surrendering to your love, to your emotion for that person, that I value you, you're important to me, even if you don't say that back, but this is how I feel. So intimacy is that when you say those words,
Yes.
right? And the other person feels that connection. And if it's not happening right away, it builds up. Right? So I'm not saying this for the woman only. It can go both ways. Men can do the same way and don't expect anything from the women right away. And it just takes time for some of us.
Yes.
Right? Especially with arranged marriages, I see that a lot, that it takes time for people to even say, they might say, I love you, but not really mean it. Right? Yeah. Say it like you mean it. Right? If you don't want to say, I love you yet, just say, oh, I care about you.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah.
Love you and care. People get really confused. Love, like, care. What is that? Right? What is really love? Like, let me pose this question to you, ladies. I mean, love means different to other people, since we're talking about
Yeah. So
marriages.
when you say like love between husband and wife, or love just for between husband and wife,
but
you're
love,
asking.
husband, wife, kids. Especially, let's talk about husband and wife, or even partner. Let's say somebody who's dating. What is love?
It's
And-
care and affection, I would think.
Right.
That's for me.
Okay. Getting up, making breakfast for you.
yeah.
Special.
Sometimes we don't say it, but the things we do, right? I
Right.
think they talk more,
Yes.
right? But in a marriage, it could be the opposite, because you've been together for so long, like you've dated and then you're married. If you're married for like 10 years, then I guess the words have to come back.
Yes.
I think
Right.
for me, is love is understanding each other, getting to not forget each other, getting to always remember each other. We don't have to keep explaining ourselves to each other. We should be able to understand each other when we are talking, or one has to be a listener, one has to be, the talker. You have to have the patience. I think love is patience. I think love, it does not have to be anything materialistic. It more has to have that connection.
Yeah.
Regardless, like, even if it is, you're busy in your lives, but you still make the time.
Right.
Or even if there may be times where you argue, but you give that person the space. You're respecting that person.
Yeah.
I think that is love for me.
That's beautiful. Both of you said very beautiful things. Very beautiful. Because it's care. It's just understanding.
Yes.
And they say it, if you can finish the word, the sentence of your other partners, what they're trying to say, not mean interrupting them, which we tend to do that sometimes. I have a bad habit with sometimes. Because I want to think what he's thinking, so I interrupt him. And sometimes I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So knowing that you're wrong and don't jump into it, just kind of like you said, speaker-listener techniques, which I will be talking a lot about that. Speaker-listener technique has to be there. When you listen without even thinking what the other person is trying to say, where is this coming from, you're just emotionally involved in that person, what they are trying to say. Maybe there are feelings. Everything we say, there are feelings connected to it.
And also assumption, because we tend to assume a lot. We tend to think that, that is, he's not, today he's not looking at me, or he didn't, because he's probably not interested. We assume that. We don't even bother to ask, because we've already under the assumption that that's what it is. Right. We answer our own questions. Yeah. And I think that happens many, many times to all of us. And it's the same way, I think, even with men, they probably think, she just assumes that I'm not going to do it, or she's under the assumption that, today is the busy day and I'm not going to find time for her. So be it. Right? So I think it's a lot to do with assumption too.
Assumptions, yes. And you're stealing my thunder.
I'm sorry. Don't ask me questions.
No. I'm happy what you're doing because it's just kind of you're kind of laying the ground foundation for me to build on.
You have an assistant ready.
See, we already got that connection going.
That's why whenever we talk on the phone, it's for hours. I gain knowledge from you too.
No, it's good that it's just we have that connection now. We kind of read into each other's cues, so you know what I'm going to talk about. This is so beautiful.
Yeah, I think also I've been very fortunate in the sense that I've had friends, back in Toronto that, I'm not saying fortunate in the sense that unfortunately for them, a lot of my friends, we got close, and not each one of them, but at least some of them did have problems, and we would sit and talk about it. So I think it's opened my eyes to a lot of things too, and it made me realize that, how important a marriage is and the relationship is and things like that. And we all have our ups and downs. I personally have had my ups and downs, so
That's what marriage is.
Right.
Yes. If you don't have ups and downs, you don't have the marriage.
I really find it odd when people say, I'm so happily married. And I'm like, really? Sure. No, seriously, when people really say that, sometimes I really wonder,
So in that regard, is you're happily married, I'm happily married. all of us in this family is happily married because we have worked through those things. Or if we not worked through it, we are working through it.
Yes.
We either done it or are doing it.
Right.
So that is happy marriage. If there are no problems, how would you learn it's a problem?
Right.
How do you know there are solutions for it, right? It's as long as we don't give up and say, okay, I throw the towels, I'm done. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a different story. But when we are working at it, that is a happy marriage.
Yes. And when you said that we are going to talk about healthy marriage, I was really happy because many times that we do not realize how it escalates so fast. How do things? So, you're here as an expert to guide us, to see the red lights, to kind of see when it's happening, to prevent that, to work towards that.
Yes.
So that is so important, and I think that this is a great topic to talk about and discuss because a lot of people are introverts when it comes to their relationship. So I think to bring it out there and to talk about this and let people know that, okay, if this thing, for example, this is happening, that is happening, be alert, work towards it. Don't think okay, this is how a relationship should be. And as long as I believe in myself and say my marriage is a healthy marriage, I'll be happy. I'm okay,
I'm
right?
okay. Yes,
So-
yes. So there's just basic techniques how we get into that negative pattern is escalation, like you said, and there is invalidations, right? And then negative interpretations, right? And that's where the accusation's coming on, right? So all those three patterns we get into, and that damage our relationships.
Right.
So I will also talk about some ground rules
Yes.
we can have to kind of stay away from these patterns, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So escalation is little arguments.
Yeah.
You know, we kind of get into that, and because we all are strong-minded people, right? We all have opinions.
Yes.
See, technology has changed the world. Everybody knows everything, right? Before and 2 generations ago, our mothers or grandmothers, moreover, they used to know that, okay, they have to take care of the household work, and then the men go out and, earn if they were the breadwinners. But things have changed.
Yeah.
We evolved, and we know more as women, and which is great, great. So we have strong opinion now. So when we have opinions, what happens? We tend to argue.
Yeah.
And before we know, it could be regarding anything, work, home, children,
kids,
everything. So that gets into the escalation. So, and in that emotional component is that when we get into it, there's always one partner is feeling lonely somewhere. Just keep in check of that if I'm talking to my listener today that if there's some loneliness in the relationship, and that's where one person is always say, I'm hurt, right? So when the other partner is listening, they don't feed into that, right? They just don't try to get into that, okay, you're hurt.
Right.
Even one person saying that I'm hurt,
right?
The other and just keep on still going into the circle around the topic they're arguing about.
Yeah. All right. So there's so much to talk about. I think we're going to run out of time again, Bhawna.
Yes. What's the time?
So let's take a quick break. And when we return, we will continue with our conversation. So this is Chai Time on 99.5 FM. And today's topic is on healthy marriage.
99.5 FM.